Noam Chomsky is every 4 years the liberals will platform him. Every 4 years, you will hear liberals mention Noam Chomsky. That's where, as a reformist, he keep doing this thing where you believe in the lesser two evils, where you tell people to vote for the Democrat Party, and those are the only time that liberals will listen to Noam Chomsky. Like, oh my, he will, and the reason why they do this is because they view Noam Chomsky as the manager of the left. Like, hey, Noam Chomsky say he will vote for Biden. Why aren't you voting for Biden? Do you know something that Noam Chomsky doesn't? And I'm like, yes, I do, because Noam Chomsky said that we should vote for Joe Biden because of climate. So yes, I did know something that Noam Chomsky didn't know, because Joe Biden is expanding fracking, the military-industrial complex, created a climate bill that gives more subsidies to the companies that are causing the climate crisis. So saying that you should vote for Joe Biden for climate is really dumb, and I wish I could have told Noam that. But anyway, they try him out every 4 years just to tell people to vote for Democrat. And recently, they tried him out because his brain was broken when he said pretty much vaccinated people to die. So he had a lot of bad taste recently. But in terms of anti-imperialism, Chomsky's always on point for the most part. Obviously, there's maybe small disagreements, but for the most part, when it comes to calling out the imperialism of European countries, the United States, he has been on point. So now the same liberals that tried out Noam Chomsky to shame the unvaccinated, the same liberals who put out Noam Chomsky to vote shame leftists into voting for Jim Crow Joe, the most racist politician in modern American history, they're now melting down because this same Noam Chomsky is telling the truth about Ukraine. So we did about 3 segments on this before. This is a new update, new interview they did, which explores something that we've been talking about for quite a long time, how this Ukraine war, like Maury Kimberly said, is the most propagandized war, and it's not even close. So I think our preface had enough. I'm gonna play the video, and I'm gonna get your guys' reaction, because the liberal meltdown and Noam Chomsky saying very, very basic facts is telling as hell. So let's watch this video, and I'll get your reaction.
So you have media which encourage debate, looks as if it's open, lots of lively debate within a narrow framework of presuppositions, which are the propaganda system. You don't see them, you don't ask about them, you don't talk about them. They just set the frame in which you can talk. Some of them are so overt that they're almost comical. Like right now, if you're a respectable writer, you want to be right in the main journals, you talk about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. You have to call it the unprovoked Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's a very interesting phrase. It was never used before. You look back at like in Iraq, which was totally unprovoked. Nobody ever called it the unprovoked invasion of Iraq. In fact, I don't know if the term was ever used. If it was very marginal. Now you look it up on Google, and hundreds, thousands of hits. Every article comes out has to talk about the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Why? Because they know perfectly well it's provoked. That doesn't justify it, but it was massively provoked. Top US diplomats have been talking about this for 30 years. Even the head of the CIA. Yes, it's provoked and it's crazy, it's reckless. Right-wing people like Robert Gates, the Secretary of Defense under Bush, said, this is crazy what you're doing. It's reckless, provocative to invite Ukraine into NATO. No Russian leader will ever accept it. Massively provoked. So therefore, we have to call it the unprovoked invasion. I mean, any good shrink could tell you what's going on. It's not very profound. But the point is, a lot of it is just on the surface. Or like, what's the point of banning RT, for example? Like banning Chris Hedges.
Yeah, that was
That is
that was spot on. Go ahead.
that is the Chomsky that many leftists miss. And Chomsky, from the very beginning of the Ukraine war, has been based. So what Chomsky just described there is exactly what I have described that got me called a Putin puppet countless times. whenever you bring up the historical facts around Ukraine, how NATO literally escalated the situation, the West escalated the situation. Joe Biden famously gave a speech like 20 years ago where he said, yeah, NATO encroachment near Russian border will constitute, that will be the red line for Russia. Every country has a red line. It's upon the international community to maintain peace through diplomacy. NATO in the West says screw diplomacy. And you have Putin that in the months leading up to this, and I have a receipt I can show you guys what this guy explained it. He was doing everything he can to prevent this. Like he was like, guys, stop NATO encroachment. Hey, let's negotiate. What do we have to do to stop you guys from expanding NATO? Like he was like begging people not to expand NATO, and they're like, fuck you, you ain't gonna do anything anyway, you pussy. You're not gonna do anything. We're gonna expand NATO right next to your border. You're not gonna do anything next about it. So then Putin does something about it, and then the international community does this propaganda campaign that Noam Chomsky just describes here, where he's like, they have to say unprovoked invasion. And like you said, did they use unprovoked invasion of Iraq? Even though it quite literally was unprovoked, we used 9/11 as a justification to invade Iraq, even though all the fighters are from Saudi Arabia, at least 6 down to 18, right? And the reason why they had to do this because they had to build Putin as the bad guy. And I've seen many MSNBC segments, Fox News segments, where they're like, man, Putin, he just snapped one day. And that's the narrative. If you watch any mainstream coverage, they're like, man, Putin, he was cool, but then all of a sudden he just snapped. And he decided to take Ukraine on a whim. On a whim, he randomly decided to take Ukraine. And then if you bring up the fact that, hey, it was NATO in the United States who got into this war in the first place. Liberals melt down. So I'm gonna show you guys one example. I'm blocked by a lot of these fucking imperialists, but I found one because look, this one got almost 4,000 likes, and you will see this meme tweeted everywhere because liberals are had enough of Chomsky because ever since the beginning.
They had enough. They're done with Chomsky.
Ever since the beginning of this Ukraine conflict, he was like, guys, look at what the fuck NATO is doing. Why are you guys starting this war? The last video we played, Noam Chomsky was like, if you guys want to end this war, why not just stop NATO? Why not listen to Putin's demands? Because that's how international community thrive. You have diplomacy. Peace does not exist by saying, I'm gonna cross your red lines, you better not do anything about it. That is not how human history has worked, and that is not how countries and nation diplomacy ever worked. But if you bring that up, people call it Putin sympathizers, which I've seen them was called Noam Chomsky. This is one of the many brain dead memes I've seen. 4,000 likes, remember. Where they get mad. This guy said, I would rather not be murdered by Russia for no reason. See? You see how he add no reason? You see the coordinated effort to try and erase all historical context behind this. Is this something that a side that know they're in the right would do? Censoring journalists, pulling RT, blatantly lying about history, something that we all knew what happened. And I have another video I must play to you guys of a NATO executive straight up admitting it. So
yeah, I saw that.
Let me get to that video. I just brought it up. But you see, this is the meme. Have you considered that the United States has also done bad things? Yeah. So they are mocking Noam Chomsky because Noam Chomsky had the audacity to bring up the fact that the CIA was in Ukraine first. In 2014, they were training neo-Nazi Azov Battalion. So yes, bringing up the fact that the United States created this conflict is very relevant. But liberals do not like historical context. Let me see if here it is. I pulled this article up so many times I know I can find it. Here's the receipt. This is what been widely reported until this invasion happened. CIA maybe breathe.
Then they had to switch it up
in Ukraine. This was written January 2022. People used to acknowledge this. Now, if you bring this up, they're like, "Oh my God!" You did what Cenk Uygur said. Remember with Bree? You bring up Nazis in Ukraine, you pushing right-wing conspiracy theories. People that fucking
I saw that. Not even I remember that.
That's even them saying that. Yeah, they're fucking Nazis in Ukraine that the United States propped up. So before I go on, I know I'm ranting for a while. Do you have anything you want to ask CJ before I go to the next receipt?
No, continue. Go ahead.
Let me show you guys. fucking fuck. They deleted the tweet. God damn it. Let me, I got another receipt. I was about to show you the receipt. Damn, I know
you can still tell us about it though. You can
I'll tell you guys about it. It was a NATO executive. You know when they have these when capitalists talk to each other, like when capitalists talk to each other at Davos, for example, whenever they are having the capitalist meetings, they will say shit they will never say in open to ordinary people. So they had like this national security conference, and you had this NATO, you had NATO. The NATO executive was like, we decided to prop up Ukrainian resistance fighters to fight against growing Russia. Like he literally just talking about it as not mouth. Like, we decided to arm rebels in Ukraine, and he just talking about it. NATO decided we needed Ukraine to join NATO because the way that Russia and China were growing their influence is crazy, man. So I feel like we decided to go into Ukraine, prop up a resistance that is anti. Like he's just talking about it. But if you bring that up, if you bring that up, you're a Russian sympathizer, apparently, right? But anyway, let's. I'm gonna go to the other receipt. Damn, I'm mad that was deleted. I literally just pulled that today. Wonder who took it down. Twitter probably like, bro, take this fucking shit down.
I was gonna say, you think they did, or you think probably Twitter probably took that shit down?
I don't know, man.
Or maybe they did.
I believe anything that capitalists are willing to do anything. So let me show you this other receipt I have. I think this also wraps the segment up. Let's go to this one. This is by Michael Tracy. Good report. He does good on the Ukraine war. And it's discussed how the West knew this was going to happen. So when anyone pretends that it's anything different, that there was no reason, that it was unprovoked, here are Michael Tracy reports. In 1998, a group of prominent senators led by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, I will not say that, opposed NATO expansion in stark terms, warning about the risk of nuclear war. In 1998, the main proponent in the Senate was Joe Biden. And then they lost that debate. So they had these debates. They were like, we can't expand NATO because the threat of nuclear war is so great, it's not worth it. It's better to have Ukraine and Eastern Europe as a neutralized bloc that separates the West from Russia. That is what everyone was saying in the late 90s and early 2000s. Remember when Barack Obama attacked Mitt Romney during their debate? Like, why are you being anti-Russian? Like, this is not the Cold War. Because they used to warn against nuclear holocaust. And you want to know who else used to do that?
He's doing this shit.
You love this. You want to know who one of the leading people that was having that debate? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders in 1997, he said, Russia clearly perceives the expansion of NATO will be an aggressive, wholly unjustifiable move by the United States. God damn, I miss young Bernie Sanders.
Yes. Now he's just voting NATO money.
Now he's like, I'm down for that. I'm NATO left now. I'm the NATO left, mother. We gotta expand the capitalist empire. Anyone who, like, you can't say the Squad is a left organization. You can't say Bernie Sanders is a left organization. You can't say Sweden, that whole thing, social democrats, where you pretend that Sweden and Finland are socialist countries. That's done. You can't be a socialist country if you join the largest capitalist imperial force known to man, which Lenin described. Imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. Sweden and Finland joined them, which is why I always warned you guys about social democrats. So Bernie, he used to call this out. He said, since the Cold War is over, why are we provoking Russia? That was when Bernie Sanders was more willing to call out at least the global elite. I think at this point he already has on a few things. But in 1997, at least you want to call this out. Now he's full cuck. He's full NATO cuck. He's full cuck of imperialism. He used to call this out. Now he's like, I'm Biden, bro. Think we're gonna be all right. He don't give a fuck anymore. So I'm pulling this up. You see quotes from Rand Paul. This is a great thread by Michael Tracy highlighting all the people who understood what NATO expansion means. And then Noam Chomsky comes out and said this again. And the liberal class is like, this motherfucking Noam Chomsky, man. He's a Russian sympathizer. He never will criticize Russia. So I think we provide a lot of receipts. And there's a lot of lefties, I know, CJ. A lot of lefties are now starting to call out Ukraine. Maybe I shouldn't use the term lefty. Maybe I should call them TYT left. The reform, the NATO left. The NATO left. The Voss left. The people who they are now starting like, yo, what's up with this Ukraine aid shit? And the same thing with the Iraq War. Remember how the Iraq War, you have people like Tucker Carlson who pretends he didn't support the Iraq War, but he did. You had Donald Trump who pretended he didn't support the Iraq War, but he did. In 10 years, you can have the entirety of the quote-unquote progressive left, the liberal class, who pretend that was all down for Ukraine aid, Ukraine weapons. They're gonna be like, "Oh man, we were tricked, man. I wasn't down for it either, man. I was calling
they're gonna be sounding just like the people of the Iraq War, yo.
Write it down. Write down. RBN got it right immediately. RBN got it right immediately. Jackson Hinkle got it right immediately. Jimmy Dore got it right. There was a small segment on the left that got this shit right immediately. Then everyone fell for warmongering propaganda. And it was like living in through the Iraq War again. The same way they got people to support the war on terror because they strummed up a villain. They look at Saddam Hussein. The same way they do that, they're like, look at Vladimir Putin. And then people after years after the war on terror, they're like, fuck, I can't believe I fell for that shit. Then it happened again, and they fell for it again. So I think there's a lesson. Everyone is an anti-imperialist until the propaganda starts, right? Everyone's against the U.S. empire until the media gives you a bad guy to fight against. And all of a sudden, oh shit, I'm not gonna question the media because Putin is a bad guy.